Hello and welcome back to the channel. Did David Zaslav have the Batgirl footage removed before even notifying anyone that the project was canceled? Let's get into this story. I just found this fascinating. Batgirl filmmakers on fallout from Warner Brothers Discovery axing DC pick. Studio promptly took all their footage. So film directors Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah said in an interview with French outlet Script that the studio promptly prevented them from accessing the PIC's footage after unplugging the movie during post-production. Fallah said, "I went on the server, everything was gone." El Arbi added, we were like, effing shit, all the scenes with Batman in them. As Deadline first told you, both filmmakers were actually in Morocco for El Arbi's wedding when they first learned the bad news about Batgirl. And this is why I kind of think maybe Zaslav did this intentionally. Maybe the timing was key. He knew both of these guys were going to be out. They were going to be otherwise preoccupied. And then maybe he sent someone in from, it's just an IT guy at security that says, remove this person, remove this person. You just remove rights. That's all it is. It's a couple of button clicks in a computer. I don't know. Let's get into the rest of the story. The guys from Warner's told us it was not a talent problem from our part or the actress or even the quality of the movie. I question that last part though. They told us it was a strategic change, there was new management, and they wanted to save some money. So I will agree that there was also a strategic shift that was occurring, but we will revisit the part about the quality of the movie in a second. In any case, here is a Reddit post on this subject. Batgirl directors tried to save footage before its cancellation, but they could not in time. And again, this is an interview, the same publication, the French publication Script. Bilal Fallah, one of the directors for the recently canceled Batgirl movie, revealed the fellow director Adil Al Arbi tried to get him to salvage some of the footage on his phone. Sadly, when Fallah went on the server, everything was gone, including all of the scenes with Michael Keaton's Batman. Quote, "No, we have nothing." Adil called and told me, "Go ahead, shoot everything on your phone." I went on the server, everything was gone. We were like, effing shit. We did not even keep the scenes with Batman in it. So let's touch on this second part about quality. And this is where I begin to question this story that quality wasn't an issue at all. So first of all, this is a quote. This is David Zaslav talking about the DC 10-year plan in the wake of Batgirl. And the quote here is, "We're not going to launch a movie until it's ready." Now, maybe a bigger quote or a better quote from this, as is elaborated by David Zaslav himself, quote, "Our ambition is to bring Warner back and produce great high-quality film. We can build a long-term sustainable growth business out of DC. We're not releasing a film before it's ready." So that goes from we're not going to launch a movie until it's ready to, hey, look, we're focused on producing great high-quality films at Warner, and we're focused on building long-term sustainable growth out of these films. So as a result, we're not releasing a film before it's ready. That paints a little bit of a different picture. The first film is just a film that's not ready. There could be not ready for many reasons. And normally if a film's not ready, you give it more time. You give it a tiny little bit more money or more time. You finish the things that need to be done, whether that's effects or a few more shots, because you've already got a lot invested. And if the film is good, you don't just throw that investment away. But that's where this seems to fall apart for me, right? And then Zaslav added, "The focus is to make these films as good as possible." Again, an emphasis on the quality here. He keeps talking about quality. So that's pretty interesting. So then there was this tweet from Aaron Couch. David Zaslav on earnings call. "It's not about how much, it's about how good. Owning the content that really resonates with people is much more important than having lots of content." Again, this is a focus on quality. And let's not forget this article. This was the New York Post article that broke this news back on August 7th. Irredeemable Batgirl movie gets shelved despite $70 million price tag. And it was the DC Comics film Batgirl will be completely shelved by Warner Brothers, the reportedly $70 to $100 million movie, which was doing test screenings for audiences in anticipation of a late 2022 debut, would rank among the most expensive cinematic cast-offs ever. Those tests were said to be so poorly received by moviegoers that the studio decided to cut its losses and run for the sake of the brand's future. It's a DC disaster. They think an unspeakable Batgirl is going to be irredeemable. So again, this is all about the quality of the film. And this makes a lot of sense when you consider the expense of the film and that this film was made to go directly to streaming. Now, David Zaslav has talked on this as well. So let's talk on, the cost of this movie and streaming and theatrical quality releases. So first of all, this movie cost $70 to $100 million to make, which is expensive, but it's definitely not theatrical quality. Theatrical quality superhero movies go for maybe $150 million for the low end, $200 million on average, and $250 million on the high end. And this movie is coming in at less than half of the entry level cost. $70 million would be less than half of $150. Even if it was $100 million, that's less than half of the average, which is $200 million. So let's go and look a little bit more at the strategy. And so we go back to the Deadline article that we have already looked at, and Zaslav emphasized the waste of money in making expensive direct-to-streaming movies. There's no comparison when you launch a film in motion picture theaters, he said. Expensive films going to streaming, we can't find an economic value for it. Zaslav also indicated there will be a number of movies being launched with shorter windows. Will be agile, but the focus will always be on theatrical. So again, this does confirm that strategic shift that was mentioned in the first Deadline article. That was one of the reasons why this movie got canceled. And I agree, the strategic shift to theatrical releases is definitely a component here. But what we also have to consider is the fact that, in the end, the quality wasn't there. And one of the things that we've seen repeatedly is that David Zaslav is all about the quality. And he repeats this all the time. Our ambition is to bring Warner back and produce great high-quality films. He's constantly talking about quality. He's talking about the brand. He was so worried about the Batgirl movie that it might be irredeemable and it might irreversibly or irrevocably damage the brand. And that is, at the end of the day, what he's truly concerned about. I think that ultimately is why Batgirl got canceled. Because, if it had been a good movie, if it had positive test screenings, he might have gone ahead and spent the extra $20 or $30 million to go ahead and make it and release it. But here's the issues, that Batgirl, in the end, was not a high quality enough film. It was also arguably a woke film that probably suffered in the script area. Maybe the plot, the character development, or both. Often when these films seek to go woke and invent and introduce a bunch of woke aspects, that ends up taking away from just, plain old quality storytelling. They shift the focus of the movie shifts to inserting all of these narratives, and often the storytelling suffers as a result. So could that have been the reason? Who knows? But let me know what you think of the fact that David Zaslav made sure that nobody would ever see any portion of this film so that it could not damage the brand in any way by going so far as to remove access to the footage on the servers immediately, and possibly even before he even announced that this movie was canceled. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and in the meantime, if you want to continue to smash the narrative, then smash the like, subscribe, and share buttons, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.